A system for selling is a very different thing. A system for selling that puts you in control is an extremely valuable thing, and that's what we're going to talk about in the first 7 sessions of this year. Sorry for walking out of camera. For the first 7 sessions for this year. Number 1 is relationship. We are in the relationship business. Write this down. People don't care what you know until they know that you care. People don't care what you know until they know that you care, right? They're not going to take your opinion as being valuable at all unless they know that you are doing what's in their best interest, not in your best interest. And because we're salespeople, we're automatically vilified from the start. Have you ever heard of a fast-talking customer? Plaid-jacketed wearing client? No. Is it let the seller beware? No. It's let the buyer beware. So we are already vilified from the beginning. So to establish that relationship is a critical element coming right out of the gate. Write this down. People, all things being equal, so let me start, all things being equal, people prefer to do business with people like themselves. Right? That kind of makes sense, right? All things being equal, people prefer to do business with people like themselves. So it's in your best interest as a salesperson to be as much like the people that you're dealing with as possible. Now, that doesn't mean be false, and I'm not saying put on airs or anything like that. And we'll talk in greater detail as we move on to this. But the idea is all of these relationship things are all created in an attempt to forward your selling interest. And we as salespeople, we can do certain things to make that better. We can take certain steps to improve upon that. Number 1, we're going to talk about what's called the rule of 7s. Here's the rule of 7s. And by the way, this is actually a psychiatric and psychological component. We're applying it to sales. But if you think about it like this, the rule of 7s basically says you have 3 7-second increments to create that first impression, right? And all of our moms said what? You can't recreate a second first impression. And she's right. She's absolutely right. How can you create a second first impression? So this is the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. There is nothing lower than this. This is the absolute core and start. The first 7 seconds is visual. Visual. Now, you're looking at 1,000,000 years of DNA in that first 7 seconds. Here's why. If you go back millions of years in our development and you're walking across the tundra and you're some kind of previous subhuman and you see another previous subhuman coming towards you, what's the first thing you've got to think about? What's the first thing that's going to run through your mind? Friend or foe? Is this person, thing, whatever coming towards me a good thing or a bad thing? Will it help me or will it hurt me? That is the basic component of survival. And the interesting thing about it is we've never changed. Right? Even though this is 2022, we still react exactly the same way. We decide visually in many cases whether or not the person that is in front of us is a friend or a foe, if they're good or they're bad. So the first 7 seconds being visual, which it is, as a salesperson, what do you control in the visual aspects? Now we'll go into greater detail. But think about that. 100% control that you have as a salesperson into how that other person sees you. This, by the way, this is the superhero uniform of a sales trainer. This is what I believe a sales trainer looks like. Gaze. Now, and I believe in the reason for that. Now, would I be just as good in cut-off jeans and a t-shirt? Probably. Probably. But I don't look the part. The person that's paid a lot of money to sit in front of me is going to look at me in cut-off jeans and t-shirts. And what are they going to think at that point in time? He's not very good. Again, it's visual. People make a decision. My dad used to always say, dress like if you met the girl that wouldn't date you in high school saw you now, she would be disappointed. But I used to love that. Because if you think about it, you never know if the next person you meet might change your life. There was 1 second before you met your wife or husband. There was 1 second before you met that person that you're going to spend the rest of your life. There was 1 second before you met your best friend. There was 1 second before you met your boss. There was 1 second before you saw your child. You never know if the next person you meet might change your life. And I tell people, be ready for it, right? If there's a hoaxy kind of a thing people say is that you can't change the past, which is true. There's no guarantee of a future, which is true. The only control you have is right now. And it's so important. It's a gift. That's why they call it the present. You can only control right now, this second. Be prepared for it. People, if you want to change your world, go out every single day as if you may meet the person that might change your life. Now, many people never do that, and I'm okay with that. Everything that I will tell you is nothing more than options for you to consider. But I will give you a personal antidote that when people see me, they treat me different. They treat me better. They treat me nicer. Now, is that fair? Who the hell knows? But you have a right and 100% control that the first opinion somebody is going to make of you is going to be visual. And you have 100% control.